Du stehst da neben mir, doch du wendest dich von mir ab. Blicke treffen sich, doch Worte werden nicht gesagt. Es ist noch nicht vorüber, so viele Worte nicht gesagt, so viel noch nicht besprochen, so viele Taten nicht getan. So viele Taten nicht getan. So viele Taten nicht getan. Du liegst da neben mir, doch du drehst dich auch nicht um. Blicke treffen sich, doch die Blicke bleiben stumm. Es ist noch nicht vorüber, so viele Worte nicht gesagt, so viel noch nicht besprochen, so viele Taten nicht getan. 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 Wenn der Sturm verhallt, doch innerlich da kocht die Wut. Alles ist ganz kalt, doch innerlich da kocht die Wut. Es ist noch nicht vorüber, so viele Worte nicht gesagt, so viel noch nicht besprochen, so viele Taten nicht getan. 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 So viele Taten nicht getan.
Hello, my dear friends, operator Starsky here. I hope you liked the tune. I really did. Here you probably won't hear a lot of mainstream music because we're true music admirers. Okay. Do you know what I've been criticized for recently? I've been criticized because I stand against the freedom of speech. People were very, very much concerned in the comments they were saying, you know, we want to be fooled by people we like. Russian propaganda that you're standing against patches those holes in the convenient bubble that we live in, you know, and people feel really, really inconvenient when they face the truth. But who cares? We're fighting against misinformation here. And guys, I'm really, really delighted and happy to see you in the chat today, because today we will be talking about some crazy shit. Some guys, TENET media was just the tip of the iceberg. So you probably remember that dude, the Gambashidze, Ilya Gambashidze, chief of the Russian agency called Social Design Agency. Several months ago, it was announced by the Treasury Department of the United States and the EU that his agency was sanctioned because this Russia-based agency was responsible for producing dozens of fake websites mimicking legit American media outlets. We were talking about it probably several months ago. So they were utilizing AI to produce content on those numerous websites that they created, and they used real names of the media, real brands, real names of the journalists, existing journalists who were working in those media. And this Russian agency also created numerous fake accounts in the social media, like, of course, we're talking about Twitter mainly, that were retransmitting the fake Russian narratives and like creating memes, sharing them with their audience, etc., etc. So one thing to note was that this agency was not only active in the US. They also actively created fake content for such countries as France, Germany, Italy, United Kingdom, of course, the countries where Ukrainians have this tremendous support from the government and from the citizens. And there are two key things, okay, that were made public recently. So first of all, how do you pronounce this word? Affidavit. Okay, describing the details of the FBI investigation, which you can find on the website of the US Department of Justice, as well as in the chat. Let me drop it for you guys, because this huge document contains almost 300 pages, and they are worth reading, trust me. There it is in the chat. Another evidence is the data that was snatched from the agency itself. It was obtained by Süddeutsche Zeitung, NDR, WDR, and Delphi. This data is partially also represented in this affidavit and contains several thousands of different presentations, protocols, reports, notes, and personal messages. How exactly was this data obtained? It's a really good question, considering that Russians use mostly Western-based services, like, for example, Slack, to organize their network, working environment, different file storages, monitoring services, of course. All of them are web-based, except for like Yandex, but Yandex is just like a file storage. Why do they use Western-based services? It's literally because they were not able to create anything for themselves. And recently, as you probably know, a lot of those services, like Google, for example, Slack, sanctioned Russia, as well as many other giants. So those documents were not that hard to obtain, actually. And according to this investigation, Russian Deputy Chief of Staff of the Russian President's administration, Sergei Kiriyenko himself, coordinated the covert influence operation against the US and the EU. The operation was executed by the Russian agency called SDA, or Social Design Agency, and its chief Ilya Gambashidze, the one that was mentioned in one of my reports. Page number 12. SDA and Struktura, those are two companies that we were mentioning that were the EU by the United States. Both of them were founded by Gambashidze, and they are Russian companies headquartered in Moscow. SDA is a public relations company specializing in elections campaigns with deep ties to the Russian government. This is very important to note because on its website, SDA, and by the way, let's check the website real quick because we can. This is their agency, my friends, and here, for example, we can check out their clients. And among their clients, they have Russian Parliament, Russian Ministry of Interior, the government of Moscow, the Moscow city, whatever, a lot of them. Okay, like all of those that you see on your screen, they're clients from the government. So this is important to remember that this agency is controlled. It provides services for the Russian government big time. So these companies were founded by Ilya Gambashidze, as I already mentioned, but what do they do? So SDA is responsible for all kinds of informational strategies. They're responsible for monitoring. They are responsible for basically creating fakes, creating disinformation, building all kinds of strategies for different countries, not only the United States, but also for European countries. And one interesting fact about this is that the second company, Struktura, is a technology company. So what do? They do all they can to ensure the technological side of the task. Basically, they create websites, they create bots, they create fake accounts, they provide the SDA with all kinds of technological solutions, with all kinds of technical measures to accomplish their task. That's important to remember. And these two companies were basically creating content and basically working. They were hired by the Russian government. So, what else do we know? We know that the chief coordinator of their efforts was Kiriyenko, Sergei Kiriyenko. It's a dude who is like evil mastermind behind all the crap that you can hear about Ukraine in the news, all the crap that you can hear about, like Western support, everything. America bad, Europe bad, Ukraine bad. He's the evil mastermind who creates strategy. Remember, I told you how the strategy, how the military strategy is implemented. It's not done overnight. There's a group of people who create a concept, and then they share this concept with their troops. In this particular case, their troops were these two agencies. What was the main goal of this operation? So, since at least 2022, under the direction and control of the Russian presidential administration, and in particular Kiriyenko, Russian companies, including SDA, led by Gambashidze, Struktura, led by Tupikin, and Ano Dialog, let me hide my ugly face from your screen, that was led by Tabak, have used the subject domain, we're talking about the subject domain of this investigation, to engage in foreign malign influence campaigns, which is noted both are colloquially referred to as doppelganger. That is how they refer to the name of this operation globally. Designed to reduce international support for Ukraine, bolster pro-Russian policies, and influence voters in the United States and foreign elections by posing as citizens of those countries, impersonating legitimate news outlets, and peddling Russian government propaganda under the guise of independent media brands. Again, very important to note that in general, doppelganger, which is under the direction and control of the Russian government, and specifically Kiriyenko, consists of two related foreign malign influence efforts. The first component of the doppelganger campaign, carried out by Struktura and SDA, acting under Kiriyenko's direction and control, involves creation of fake websites and mimic legitimate media outlets. My friends, every single time every single time your fellow users on Twitter were reposting some kind of crazy fake about Ukraine, Zelensky buying 10,000 castles and Bugattis and yachts, etc., etc., Zelensky selling his soul to Satan and shit like that, that is literally, and they were posting like those links, etc., that was literally created by these absolutely beautiful gentlemen. This is so cool. This is cool, the guys working in those agencies, generally they are extremely smart people. They are talented, and of course I think that they would see themselves, there's young teams usually involved, and I bet they see themselves working in some prominent European or American communication companies. But of course, this path for them is closed, and the most that they can hope for, I don't know, is apparently becoming a witness testifying against Russian war crimes. Possibly that will save their lives. But we'll talk about it a bit later. Just a second. How the hell does this work? This is how. Great. In 2023, among other countries that were influenced by this company, by their content, by all that shit that they produced, France started raising awareness. Let's check it out. On July 19th, 2023, the Viginum agency, French government agency tasked with vigilance and protection against foreign digital interference, highlighted doppelgangers' creation and operation of cyber-squatted domains. Since February 2023, they noticed an increasing number of impersonations of major French and foreign media outlets in order to publish pro-Russian articles linked to the war in Ukraine. They also highlighted doppelgangers' use of Facebook pages and advertisement to disseminate disinformation. According to this company, since February 2023, more than 160 Facebook pages have been identified, posting more than 600 sponsored content containing links to articles and websites linked to the campaign. As described below, the investigation had revealed the doppelganger purchased numerous social media advertisements targeting US politicians and relied on artificial intelligence to generate content. Again, this is extremely cool because like in Russia, everything is as backwards. Instead of using AI to solve like the biggest problems of today, they use AI to generate fucking fake narratives and fake content to bullshit people on the West. How cool! Like everything you wanted to know about Russia is this shit. The notes that were taken by Gambashidze, because again, this whole massive amount of information that was acquired by journalists, by FBI, they also contained plenty of notes from working meetings taken by Gambashidze himself. And they contain in some specific cases, some extremely interesting information. For example, information regarding the nuclear psychosis. I freaking love this one. For example, from April 16, 2022, details, the note from April 16, 2022, details a meeting led by SVK. SVK in this particular case is Sergei Vladlenovich Kiriyenko. SVK told the group that they must use two mechanisms to be effective. One, creating of a nuclear psychosis. The USA have been prepping Europe for a big war with the Russian Federation. War for peace. And two, exaggeration. What is exaggeration? It's, for example, when they say that there's Nazi in Ukraine, they mean that like whole Ukrainian army, whole Ukrainian nation is Nazi. When they say that, I don't know, like exaggeration, guys, it's obvious thing. You've heard a lot of that. Minutes of meeting, Stas, Sofia, Sergei. In particular, the group agreed that the Germans are more dependent than the French and decided to focus its efforts on the Germans. In particular, the group agreed that first and foremost we need to discredit the USA, Great Britain and NATO, and secondly we need to convey the truth about the war in Ukraine and the need to convince Germans to oppose the inefficient politics of sanctions. According to the note, the participants used the remainder of the meeting to discuss anti-Ukrainian pro-Russian narratives to distribute with a focus on Germany. Gambashidze noted they were assigned Russian reliable news, changed it to recent, it's going to work. How cool is that? But it was also reported that the reports, the results of their work, were also sent to Putin from time to time, and Putin would also make his remark, send some kind of feedback to them through Kirienko. And for example, Putin also requested the agency to work with much wider audience. That is extremely interesting. Let's refer to these documents. Again, it's really interesting. Why the hell, like, the pages that I see here are different from the pages that I see on my iPad. Anyways, it's not the worst thing. Here. Meeting SAS, blah, blah, blah. One note of January 13, 2023, meeting attended by Gambashidze, Zakharova, and other. Sofia Zakharova is one of the employees of this agency that also specialized in the informational strategies and yada yada. Mentioned they had reported to the president about the project. Here, this agent that wrote this report, he says that the president apparently refers to the Russian president Vladimir Putin, that is also in the world widely known as Huilo. And he says, the note stated that the participants should not constrain themselves to specific countries. Rather, false stories spread could be initiated everywhere in different countries, even launched through media. The note referenced specific campaigns, including the use of influencers, a media cluster with 40-50 websites per country. Creating unique media brands led by Anno Dialog and making political animated movies. After mentioning our fakes will be restored, the IAG team was specifically assigned to work on analytical products and videos. That is extremely cool. But it wasn't just about external audience. It was also about internal audience. Here it said, in addition to foreign influence campaigns, Doppelganger also appears to have conducted influence campaigns domestically within Russia, underscoring its close ties to the Russian government. For example, one note indicates that the project could be used for P's election campaign. Who the hell is P? How do you think? Likewise, different meeting note from a meeting the SAS attended indicated the group discussed Putin team example of work for the upcoming campaign and explained that our battlefield is here. That's why men are not in Donbass. So freaking funny. Oh my God. And this one is really, really interesting. Another note includes the instruction that when providing a narrative, it's important to remember that this is from a German to a German, from a Frenchman to a Frenchman. We all know that Russians are trying to conceal the fact that they are Russians when they produce content, when they want you to share their content. Of course, they conceal the fact that they're Russians. And this particular agency did all they could in order to conceal the truth. They used VPNs. When they were disseminating fakes, they did everything to make people on the West believe that their content came from their own citizens. Another interesting thing is that the social design agency was deeply concerned about the countermeasures against their campaign, their disinformation, and they were really, really closely monitoring all kinds of governments, all kinds of media, and individuals fighting the Russian disinformation. I believe, guys, that the list they created, the monitoring list, would 100% include some of your favorite YouTubers. Let's check out this one. SDA internal document titled Countermeasures by Foreign Agencies and Organizations, which recounted that the collective West countries are seriously concerned by the effectiveness of the project. I mean, of course, like sane people are, of course, concerned because of this shit. At the same time, of course, I met a lot of people throughout the years that were like, I'm too smart to be fooled by Russian propaganda. I would always recognize it, guys. And that, along with major online platforms, fact checkers, and investigators, they had been involved in the effort of countering our narratives since September 2022. Of course, measures against Russian disinformation like this one were conducted a long time ago, but again, not really efficiently. For example, if we take Meta, yeah, of course, it's really, really cool that they finally blocked the main spreaders of disinformation like Russia Today, etc. But it's 2024. And unfortunately for people, they were spreading a lot of shit. For example, this specific company responsible for producing almost 40,000 different publications in like 4 months of 2024. 4 months equals 40,000 publications. And why it's so important and why it's so dangerous, I will explain just briefly for you guys so you could understand. Here, for example, they have their KPIs. I will translate it for you, okay? In the left column, there are KPIs. The title is KPIs of international projects. The left column, Germany. KPI number 1, increase rating of AfD party to 20%. Increase the, how to call it, показатель, increase the indication of fear of future in polls more than 50%. Increase the number of Germans who don't want to sacrifice their welfare for victory over Russia to more than 55%. Polarization of the German society, not willing to vote for Green, more than 40%. And below that, they count the narratives that they will use to achieve those KPIs. On the right, you can see a similar stuff for France. So, rating of the National Union, former party of Le Pen, must be 20%. They must reach this number. The growth of indication of fear of future, people scared by tomorrow in the polls must be above 50%. The number of Frenchmen who don't want to sacrifice their welfare for winning over Russia, for example, for Ukraine, must be more than 44%. The number of French who would vote to quit NATO must be more than 25%. That is the reason why it's so dangerous. It's because Russians create fakes. They spread fakes, pretending that those fakes were created and shared by French people. French people see those fake and they think, oh, this is supreme truth. And they vote to exit NATO. Or they vote, or they literally go out and beat up immigrants. Or some other crazy shit. This is why it's so dangerous. And unfortunately, not a lot of people understand it today. However, this warfare was waged for fucking years. And unfortunately, we only learned about it nowadays. So, this agency broadly used impersonation and fake identities. You probably remember RT and TENET media. This was a similar tactic to conceal their true origin, right? Only on a much, much larger scale. A hallmark of the doppelganger campaign was to impersonate US and other non-Russian citizens through the creation of fake social media profiles. Then that social media profile, posing as an American or other non-Russian citizen, would post comments or other content promoting a pro-Russian narrative and include a hyperlink to the cyber-squatted domain impersonating a legitimate news outlet, like the Washington Post or Fox News. Using this manner of distribution, Kiriyenko, Gambashidze, Tupikin, SDA, and Struktura are able to mislead, for example, American citizens into believing they're seeing the viewpoints of a fellow American citizen rather than the Russian government's view. It's so funny to see when, some of the biggest talking heads nowadays that promote Russian terrorism on the West, they go, I'm Russian, I live in Ohio, or Texas, and they literally speak the shit that was written by Russians in Moscow. It's so funny. It's funny, but it's sad at the same time. And they are ready to to protect this point of view. Oh my God. As any serious, as any serious company, the communications company, they would, of course, conduct monitoring SDI documents further reveal that SDI extensively monitors and collects information about a large number of media organizations and social media influencers. The monitoring is part of your job in the communications agency. It's part of your job, and it eats a lot of your time. That's why you usually should have a lot of people who do monitoring for you, using software, using their own fingers and eyes. But this is something you should have. You should be always in trend. You should always know the recent updates. You should know everything. That is why monitoring departments are like extremely important. I spent hours of my time literally monitoring stuff as a press officer, and I would spend tens of hours of my time monitoring the informational space as a communications person before I became a military. This stuff is incredibly important. One document revealed a list of more than 2,800 people on various social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Telegram, spanning 81 countries that SDA identified as influencers, including television and radio hosts, politicians, bloggers, journalists, businessmen, professors, think tank analysts, veterans, professors, and comedians. White professors 2 times mentioned here, I have no idea. Maybe some kind of different professors. Anyways, when referring to politicians, the list often mentioned which US state and or political party they represent and the position they hold in Congress. The US-based influencers accounted for approximately 21% of the accounts being monitored by SDA. Why do they monitor so many American influencers, so many American opinion makers? The answer is really simple, guys. Who is the main adversary of the terrorist federation? Like, it's obvious thing. On another list of over 1,900 anti-influencers from 52 countries, the US-based accounts comprised 26% of the total accounts being monitored by SDA. So this man assesses that anti-influencers indicates that the account post content that SDA views as contrary to Russian objectives. And that is, I believe, I can also find myself. Funny thing, if we scroll to page 30, we can find this incredible project that was introduced by SDA called the Good Old USA Project. In the fall of 2023, SDA began developing a campaign targeting the 2024 US federal elections, which it called the Good Old USA Project. And below in this document, again, I will post it for you guys in the chat. Just a second. To those who missed the chance, there you go. It's in the chat now. So this one is extremely interesting. I believe that you will recognize a lot of people spreading the same narrative. According to the planning document, the project's goal was to influence US public opinion to align with the viewpoint. And this is the viewpoint. The US should target their effort towards addressing its domestic issues instead of wasting money in Ukraine and other problematic regions. You probably know all kinds of people who say the same shit. You hear it from the TV, you read it in Twitter and other platforms every single day. Uh, yeah, not only in the United States, but primarily this shit, like word to word, right? And funniest fact is that those people believe that they came to this conclusion themselves. The document specifically refers to the content to be distributed by the SDA as bogus stories disguised as newsworthy events. These bogus stories would be complemented by mass distribution of text, comments, and memes in Facebook and X, Twitter, discussion threads. This commentary campaign would spread false reworked project narratives supported by facts and engage in targeted social engineering based on information trends and users' emotional attitude towards them. One incredibly interesting screenshot I will show you a bit later because it's extremely cool. Again, regarding monitoring, this project specifically highlighted the use of the targeted advertising on social media that would enable SDA to track Americans' reactions to the distributed materials in real time and directing the psychological response group to contribute to comments thereof. With the help of a network of bots, the psychological response moderates top discussions and adjusts further launches depending on which group was affected the most. It's literally as soon as you reply something, you see like the horde of all kinds of anonymous users commenting that you are wrong, actually. My God. But it wasn't the only project, of course. There was another one called Guerrilla Media Campaign in the United States. Here we can see the changed logos that were used by them. And here's the Guerrilla Media Campaign in the United States. So the documents included a proposal for another campaign focused on influencing the United States, titled the Guerrilla Media Campaign. It focused on exploiting the perceived polarization of US society by focusing on 8 campaign topics. As reflected in the proposal, SDA anticipated using social media profiles on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Truth Social, but noted that with Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, we need to create multiple perishable accounts, primarily for the work with comments. It's literally when you see some bots commenting on a YouTube under like different videos, etc., partially they are fake people. They don't exist. I'm talking about obvious facts here. The guerrilla media campaign would disseminate its propaganda through posts, comments on social networks and local group chats, memes, and video content, including news stories in the Fox News style. The plan stated, in order for this work to be effective, you need to use a minimum of fake news and maximum of realistic information. At the same time, you should continuously repeat that this is what is really happening, but the official media will never tell you about it or show it to you. This is incredibly cool because, of course, when, for example, Donald Trump in his debates about Ukraine says that your numbers are fake here. I know the true numbers from Twitter. There are millions, millions losses. That's the thing. people advocate Twitter as the main source of information, of trustworthy information, the only place where you can find the freedom of speech. Literally, when somebody tells you that in the comments, like, you can literally ban this person. You cannot punch this person because this person doesn't exist in the real life, but you can at least freaking block the bot. Oh my God. You know, I was reading this document for the past 2 days, and I'm literally... To say that I'm shocked, it's freaking underestimation, probably. U.S. social media influencers network. SDA records revealed another influence campaign aimed at avoiding detection and mitigation by U.S. social media companies by creating and developing a network of 200 accounts in Twitter. This is literally how you create networks of your influencers, and this chapter talks specifically about them. They wanted to create fake Twitter accounts with thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers, and this is what they say. Network of 200 accounts on Twitter, 4 in each of the 50 states, which is extremely smart, actually, if you think about it. 2 active and 2 dormant ones. Active accounts in each state will be maintained on behalf of a fictitious individual who actively supports a political party and represents a community of local activists. You can find all kinds of fake US veterans, fake mothers, fake activists, all kinds of fake people. We were talking about the army of Russian-created fake accounts on Twitter specifically several streams ago, I believe. And they were created using either fake personnel, like fake photos generated by AI, photos of non-existing people, or photos of fashion influencers from Europe, for example, only a bit photoshopped, that were supporting one specific candidate. SDA actively sought to eliminate the possibility of detection of the Russian footprint. In the proposed project, a multi-level protection of the infrastructure will be built. It will contain VPN services, physical servers located in the United States, etc. The project's goal was to steadily increase the number of subscribers, eventually reaching 1 million in 1 year. I would be really happy to reach 1 million subscribers, my friends. These guys are extremely smart. Seriously, I would just... I would never shake their hands, but I would say that we are impressed here, looking at your efforts. So, guys, below in this document, generally, you can find examples of using different fake influencers, fake personas, in cooperation with real personas and real influencers. You can find utilizing fake brands of the news outlets, etc., etc. We can also see examples of different fakes in the attachment. Let me just jump here, for example, for you. Screenshot from the video that they made, all kinds of different memes created. Again, we have my bro in the chat. Andrew, how are you doing? Wait a second, let me turn on my ugly face now. We can see all kinds of memes. We can see all kinds of caricatures, comicses. Again, those guys utilized extremely talented people who would work for them, and they created enormous amount of content. Enormous amount. Here we can see, for example, my God, publications. This one. Ukraine. Wait. What did they say? Ukrainian morgues are overfilled with the deceased because they don't have body bags. The sacks with the bodies are stored like on the shelves. According to Wall Street Journal. Yeah, this is so cool. Like, this table, the column says country, USA. Next column says direction, demoralization of armed forces of Ukraine. This says publication, in Ukrainian morgues, there's no more place for the bodies. This is direction, demoralization of armed forces of Ukraine. Publication title, Ukraine actively recruits women into the armed forces of Ukraine. This one, disorganization of population. The title says, Russia stockpiled almost 900 long-range missiles. And what we can see here is basically PSYOPs, only created by civilians. Oh my God. Let me check. They had a lot of screen. Ukrainian soldiers have accused the commanding officers of causing soldiers' death through enemy bombing during line up. And this is the comment from a bot. The country has become half empty. Oh, jeez, we heard that a lot. Up to 1,000 people die every day. Die is written with a mistake. Every day. What is this all for? For sake of returning Crimea? Explain. Why do dead Ukrainians need Crimea? In the eyes of the European politicians, we look like beggars that are in need of money and assistance. How much can you demean yourself for the sake of lining up your pockets? Even shit like that, when you see commentaries like that, it's literally, it's literally created by a dude in Moscow. Oh my freaking... what is this? Directives. Yeah, we saw this one. Offensive. The most successful topic from the distribution standpoint was the last counteroffensive. And this is the report, basically. They show their KPI, etc., etc. Of course, it's a real-time job, basically, when you monitor the result of your campaign in real time using targeted ads, and you can react in real time to how much effective is your campaign. It's extremely cool. Guys, this document, even though it's extremely long, it's worth reading because majority of the information that you can find here, basically all the information that you can find here in Russian, for example, it's also translated in English. This one says, work with the commentaries. Blah, blah, blah. To make it function, the commentary system, it's planned to create media cards to reach the corresponding target audience, popular communities of political or economical theme, personal accounts of opinion makers. The operators will be creating commentaries. Operators will be creating commentaries using bots under the publications according to the media card. Commentaries, text, picture, link will be pushing the main narratives of the project and provoke the reaction from the audience. And this is how it's done, my friends. Remember that when we were talking about the fakes, the content that is produced by this extremely cool Russian agency, extremely cool. They won't be awarded though, but anyways. We're talking also about comment like this. You probably remember this absolutely amazing meme that was posted by Elon Musk and showing Ukrainian President Zelensky begging for money, right? One interesting fact, among those protocols, it was actually found the selected text on the screenshot basically says the meme of Musk was created by Sophia, and it's like a fake picture. It also mentions, by the way, my friends, it also mentions Diana Panchenko. You probably remember Diana Panchenko, former spokesperson for Medvedchuk, and I talked about him in my previous videos. And Diana Panchenko in Ukraine is wanted for treason, but on Twitter she represents herself as a Ukrainian hunted by the Ukrainian law enforcement. And it says, we should teach Diana Panchenko how to mark the messages in the reports. Contact Alexei Klishchovy. Who is Alexei Klishchovy? I will definitely find this information for you, my friends. Here you can see examples of different memes that were created by these creative people. Oh my God. But again, remember, time to time they post some kind of fake, recipe of a fake receipt, for example, of Olena Zelenska buying Bugatti, or Volodymyr Zelensky buying a yacht or two, or castle. They also, in their reports, they also had a bunch of fakes that were photoshopped. So, for example, here we have an order from the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. And this order basically says, remember when a Russian IL-76 was shot down, and it was reported that this IL-76 was carrying the missiles, and we shot it down. And then Russians started screaming from every channel, again, not showing any proofs, but they were screaming using all kinds of channels that actually this airplane was carrying Ukrainian prisoners of war to be exchanged, and Ukrainian Ministry of Defense literally killed Ukrainian POWs. And they used this, even though like Russians died, right? But they don't fucking care about their lives, of course. And they created a fake that is dedicated to this airplane, and it says that there is a directive from the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine saying that if journalists are asking questions, like not to answer those questions. Of course, this document never existed in Ukraine, but it existed on Twitter, and of course it was shared by all kinds of pro-Russian degenerates. There's another one that is, and in the left part you can see register of fakes. That is basically the report. That is a table that contains, like, again, data, name of file, the direction, etc., all the information on the fakes. And this one is the fake of General Alexander Starsky, which basically says, if you don't fight, you will be shot. You know, Russians like to project a lot. They like to project their own atrociousness on other people, in this case Ukrainians, of course. But it was good. You see, that is this one regarding the IL-76. Also, it's mentioned in that table that it was produced. In Ukraine, they also created a lot of, in the Ukrainian space, informational space, they also created a lot of different content that was used mostly on Facebook, because in Ukraine we have Facebook, in Russia they don't, obviously. Anyways, that was created in order to make Ukrainians fight each other, Ukrainians who support like Zaluzhny, or Ukrainians who support Syrsky, or Ukrainians who support Zelensky, or Ukrainians who support Poroshenko, or, you know, all kinds of social groups. That is also very typical for Russians when they want to introduce the fake campaign against the US. They would do the same. They're targeting all kinds of different social groups, which is extremely dangerous, basically. This one is also really cool. So the protocol on the right says, like, they talk about the main narratives. If Zaluzhny was commanding the troops, they would not give up Avdiivka, you know. That's an interesting point, by the way. So basically, they were expecting to destroy the morale and destroy the dedication, commitment of the Ukrainian army to the chief of the General Staff of Ukraine. That's interesting. They mentioned Mariupol. 25-30 billions of taxes will not be enough. Make infographics reflecting the mobilization like in the Nazi Germany. Don't talk about the attempted assassination of Zelensky, because it will make him look like a martyr, like a hero. Extremely interesting. Here you can see their report on their bots as of 1st of January 2024. There is type of content, meme, the platform, Twitter, the username, different usernames, and of course links to the comments. I believe that, guys, if you check out this extremely interesting document. You will, of course, find those documents that's still there on Twitter. Remember, there was this fake about Ukrainians who wanted to burn Russian flag in Germany, and they burned a house of people who gave them shelter. It was shared like crazy, especially in Germany. So here they are talking about this video that they created and shared. First column says number, second column says task, and they report on accomplishing this task, creating this content. There's also publication in Germany, publication in Italy, status of the task, the country, and a link to the Yandex. I think that generally we can check if they're still there. That would be really interesting. And here you can see again other narratives: Robotina, Avdiivka, Klishivka. Legaba, blah blah. Oh, Sophia says, have we made the video about recruitment of children in Ukraine? We should find it. It's basically, guys, it's like working notes, right? Have we made a video about recruiting children in Ukraine? We should make infographics regarding people with disabilities, and we must make a fake on behalf of the United Nations. Sophia says, new team made a fake about kidnapping children. Americans have seriously reposted that. Success. And triple exclamation sign. Make a fake that Germans are examining the... Oh, that is interesting. Make a fake about Germans investigating the case of Zaluzhny in regards to destruction of the Nord Stream. Guys, of course, if I had such a team, or at least like 1/10 of this team, that would be amazing. Oh my god. Narratives. Let's check out these. From 6th to 9th of June 2024, there will be 10th elections in the European Parliament. Our narratives of the company. Liberals and globalists are spreading the fear. They need our panic. We are being taught abstract values. They destroy our life order. Our children go crazy. All the success that the liberal globalists have, it's all just words. In reality, everything bad. The strategy of globalists in the European Parliament is to turn Europe into a totalitarian military camp. What can I say, my friends? So, first of all, from this amazing investigation, again, it's bad that you not all of you can understand Russian, but in the paper published by the court and prepared by the FBI, there's basically everything translated for you. Like if you see Russian text, you can find the translation in English. And what we can understand is several points. Point number one is that Russia secretly and massively pushes its disinformation into the Western infospace. And they do their best to conceal the true origin of content, because generally like nobody wants to quote Russian media, Russia Today, etc., etc. It smells fishy, right? But when the information comes from your own country, from French people, from Italians, from Americans, then it looks legit and trustworthy, especially if those accounts have thousands and tens of thousands of subscribers. Another thing is Russia artificially increases tensions between different ethnic, religious, and other social groups in the European countries and the United States. And this is done via direct approval from Kremlin. Kremlin wants your countries to drown in protests, to become destabilized. They want death and violence on your streets. From like this is direct approval from Kremlin itself. Russia artificially increases the level of nuclear hysteria. Again, you can hear a lot of politicians talking about it. And on the other hand, the fact that they want to increase nuclear hysteria tells us that this is something that bothers Russians, because Russians otherwise would never talk about it. If the level of nuclear hysteria on the West was appropriate for Russians, they would never mention it, but they specifically want to talk about it, apparently because they understand that if you are not afraid of Russian nuclear weapons, that they will never use against the West, because the Russian politicians don't want to kill their kids who study and live there. They understand that they need to spread this fear on the West big time. This is really, really important. This is why they have Medvedev talking about it all the time. This is why they have Putin saying that any escalation will mighty Russia. They understand that they will fail. That's why they want you to fear. They want you to be scared. Let me know what you think. Also, this specific Russian agency creates approximately 10,000 fake publications a month that also include fakes about Ukrainian army, Ukrainian government, fakes about particular European and American politicians that support Ukraine, fakes about Ukrainian refugees that are stationed outside Ukraine. And another interesting fact is that Russian fakes, Russian disinformation, is also aimed at pumping the immigration hysteria. Again, Russians want your governments to talk about, because apparently this is something in your country. That is why they want this to look dangerous, to scare the living crap out of the citizens. At the same time, this number, 10,000 publications, it only concerns this very agency. I'm sure that there are other agencies that we will hear about in the future, agencies awaiting to be discovered or exposed. At the same time, there's Russia Today, there are bot farms, there are other Russian informational agencies that create fakes and they conceal the fact that those fakes are created in Russia by Russian personnel, by ethnic Russian people sitting in Moscow somewhere. There are fakes created by FSB, and 10,000 publications, 10,000 cases of spreading disinformation. That is just one agency in a month. Guys, I'm still impressed, with the scale of influence a single agency can accomplish. This is something so crazy. And we must understand that we are dealing with extremely sophisticated Russian informational warfare that is designed to raise and to induce violence, that is designed to result into people dying, like literally, that is designed to result in casualties. Russian hybrid warfare is literally combat weapon. That is something we all must understand. It's a combat tool that is designed to lead to some specific result. Nothing happens just because. Remember that. Everything happens according to the military plan. And these narratives of creating tension between different social groups in your country, that is a direct reason for casualties, for protests on the streets, for violence. This is why this stuff is so dangerous, my friends. This is why we should fight against it, and we should always remember that this stuff has absolutely nothing in common with the freedom of speech. Freedom of hate speech, yes, that's the case. Freedom of terrorism, yes, this is the case, but it's nothing like freedom of speech, nothing at all. This is why blocking such channels of delivering information to the society is effective. I completely support it. This is why exposing such cases is extremely important. Again, I completely support it, and I hope that you will also help to spread the necessity of fighting Russian disinformation in your community, because this is extremely important. It's crazy. I'm really looking forward to finding, those thousands and thousands of those amazing presentations prepared for Kiriyenko. I would love to study them myself, and actually I think I can do that. I think I can do that. Okay, I think I'm ready to talk about food or answer your questions, my friends, because, today in the beginning of the chat, of the stream, actually before the stream, we agreed that if I'm not talking about food in my streams, it means two things. It's either I'm deep faked or somebody holds me at gunpoint. So let it be like our signal, signal of emergency. Do you think the end of the corona pandemic factored into the timing of Putin's decision to invade Ukraine? I believe so, and I need to understand how exactly it worked, because it was confirmed that a bunch of anti-vaccination accounts on Twitter specifically exactly after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, they changed their names. I need to find this information somewhere for you. They changed their names and their concept, and they started talking about the war in Ukraine, of course, from the Russian perspective. So I believe that is true. Again, I'm not really sure how, like, what was the purpose of all this. My head currently is about to pop. Does Putin carry a pager? From what I know, he doesn't really carry anything like that. But on the other hand, it's impossible. He's a freaking dictator. He must have at least some kind of gadget to communicate, to write love messages to Dmitry Medvedev, admire the mustache of Peskov and shit like that. Is Ukraine recruiting dogs and cats? It's vice versa. They recruit us, which I'm not even joking. Usually it's, animals who recruit us, not vice versa. Elon recently tweeted, "Why hasn't anyone tried to kill Biden Kamala?" There's two things. Reason number one why nobody tried to kill them is because their rhetorics are not dangerous. People don't consider their rhetoric dangerous. They're not fascists. And reason number two, what kind of sane person would write that? Like, literally. When is the FBI going to investigate Musk? I think there's already several. Again, I cannot talk on behalf of FBI, but I think it's obvious that there's a lot of cases being investigated. We don't know everything because Musk doesn't report how exactly he cooperates with FBI, right? And FBI don't report that as well because some things must be done quietly. But where can we get the document? Guys, after the stream, I will probably publish the link to the document in the description so you could all download it. It's 270 something pages of extreme pleasure. So AI based, yeah. You guys know how it works. Generally, Russians were the biggest enemy of Russian disinformation, for example, in the 80s, was time. Because in order to make some kind of fake work, it would require years. For example, like the fake about the AIDS that was produced in the United States. Nowadays, they are blessed with such things as social media, and they're twice as blessed with such things as AI generative models because they can do anything for Russians. How do you decompress from having to deal with all this every day? I literally lie down in the backseat of my car and cry sometimes, like couple hours. Sometimes it helps. What would Brian say? Always look at the bright side of life. I agree that. Starsky, maybe you should have a Borch MRE Zayibov. Could be. I agree on that. Borch MRE. Actually, not far from here in like Dortmund, we have extremely cool restaurant of Ukrainian cuisine, and like you would love it. What is your favorite Hey Google, translate condiments. Like spices? I didn't know spices are called condiments. Soy sauce. I do everything with soy sauce. And like, for example, I cook rice, mushrooms in soy sauce. It's better than using salt because you can make it too much salty with salt, but you cannot make it too much salty with soy sauce. Is there any chance that even one of these cases will be tried before the US elections? I'm convinced the indictments are true but still innocent until proven guilty. I'm looking forward to see to see the people who executed this shit tried in the court for real. And even those guys who work in like social design agency, etc., etc., this is their chance to evade being sucked into a Russian window, because in the end, people like them, they know too much. And if you know too much, you don't live long in Russia. That is why eventually, no matter what happens in Russia, at some point, people like them will be eliminated. That is why they can kind of celebrate the fact that they're not sent to like die in Donbass in a meat assault. But at the same time, eventually they will start being eliminated by FSB. I can tell this for sure. All this talk about Russian disinfo makes me hungry. How about a stew of a Siberian forest cat with stir-fried Russian baby fingers? Russian baby fingers give me heartburn, literally because I ate them so many and for years. Literally, I need something else. I don't know, like tea from the tears of the Russian widows. That would work definitely. But I don't know where to find it in Germany. They don't sell it anymore. In Ukraine, it's easy. You go to like Silpo, ATB. There's anything. Like Russian baby fingers have like 4 kilo. Tears of Russian widows, they're really cheap. But here it's different. I've been to the Polish grocery store. Besides pierogi, nothing exciting. Maybe I've been to a wrong Polish store though. What I wanted to check. I remember. So there was a question: what do I do in order to preserve my sanity? And this is what I found that works the best. Okay, here it is. So you probably remember that the other day I've been to Amsterdam, and this stuff made me happy and charged me with positive emotions for like the next month. And that beer, my friends, it was extremely good. Just extremely good. I mean, I gotta find something like that here in my town. It was just so good. So, you know, I went out of this restaurant as, smiling wide like in the good old times. What date is that report? I wonder if there's anything written about the parliamentary or president elections that took place in Slovakia. The campaign was very dirty and full of lies. My friend, I tell you this, they worked on all the European countries, all the countries of the EU, targeting all kinds of different social groups, all kinds of target audiences in those groups. And they had different KPIs on different countries. I only showed you like Germany and France. And another thing that raises a question, which is again extremely important. Yeah, they were working to increase the percentage of voters for some specific parties in the European Union, right? In the European Parliament. The question is, did Kiriyenko, not this specific agency, of course, for obvious reasons, but did Kiriyenko, being a top manager in the Kremlin, did Kiriyenko somehow contact the representatives of those parties? And something tells me that he freaking did, of course, because there is this wide network of Russian representatives around the world that I'm desperately trying to finish another research at the channel of the Propaganda Study Institute. And they are responsible for recruiting all kinds of people. Finally had a beer. My friend, this was a non-alcoholic beer. I enjoy the fact that I can drink beer and not get wasted, which is so cool, which I couldn't avoid, before that, years ago, but nowadays, apparently I can. And non-alcoholic beer that we had in Ukraine, it didn't taste nice. Like in Ukraine, only alcoholic beer tastes nice. Non-alcoholic, we had like Baltica or something like that. It wasn't really good. That is why basically I didn't drink beer at all when I was in Ukraine. This stuff, respect. I freaking love it. Starsky, have you tried Worcestershire sauce? No, I didn't. But now, since you mentioned that, I think I will. Why isn't YouTube doing anything about the millions of obviously fake accounts, which are clearly administered by the Kremlin? All they seem to do is remove anti-troll comments. Yeah, guys, there is one thing that I should talk about is sometimes you write commentaries that are like absolutely normal, not even in a reply to some bots or something like that. I don't know, you can just say like good day, you know, and then boom, your comment gets removed for no reason. I don't remove your commentaries, neither do my moderators. And that is literally some kind of glitch in the automatic moderation, the AI that is utilized by YouTube, by Google. Sometimes it's extremely nasty, it's savage. I don't know how to stop it, unfortunately, and it removes my commentaries as well. So please don't be angry at me if your commentaries disappear. Blame the automatic moderation. Guys, I don't know how to stop this violence. Seriously, literally, I have no idea. But regarding your question, the Google, I'm sure they do something. And the reason we don't know much about it is apparently because they don't report much about it. If I was a journalist, which, by the way, can change in the nearest future, I would, of course, make some kind of official request. Actually, it's a good idea. You know, you just gave me an extremely cool idea. Maybe I will make a video on this. Maybe I will even invite somebody or go myself to some like representative office of like Google and ask them questions. That would be cool. Have you ever drank Stella Artois? It's from Belgium. Paul, I did, and this is the only beer that I used to drink in Ukraine. It's really nice, it's really mild, but I don't know if it tastes the same as in Belgium, because that beer was in Ukraine. I don't know, maybe it was produced there, no idea. Do you like kvass? I think it's better than beer, just another way to drink your fermented bread. Do I like kvass? Come on, Halichanka, of course I do. I mean, every Ukrainian likes kvass. You're becoming a journal. I will talk about it. I will talk about it. Not really a journalist, however, who knows? I will talk about it as soon as I have something to share. Heineken also rocks. Guys, generally in Ukraine, we have a lot of beer. Heineken, Stella Artois, we have all that. We have Kilkenny, we have Guinness, even though I'm not a big fan of dark beer, but I tried them. Kilkenny is not bad. I think if I had no choice, I would drink that one. Currywurst, ja, genau. Currywurst rolls, bratwurst as well. But maybe it's because, like, partially that beer is produced in Ukraine. I have no idea. It's not bad. But the one that I have opportunity to try here, it's literally when you take a sip, you go, damn, why didn't I drink it before? Like it's this kind of feeling. And I started enjoying beer. Seriously, non-alcoholic, but still, I am enjoying it big time. I need to show you. Mocktail Lamps Breo. I drink their alcohol-free beers. We should try. Cheryl says another vote for Guinness. It depends. Like, I don't know. It depends. I like something like I like beer that you drink, not eat. Basically, Guinness is like you had a beer and dinner at the same time. Maybe I just didn't understand it. Maybe I need another chance. We'll see. Google and other companies do not like people showing up at their office holding them accountable, even if honestly in good terms. They will say, who is holding? Just a friendly heads up. They can definitely say that, but I will use all my magic and charm, and they will not be able to say no. I always use my magic and charm when I have to meet, like, sisters, mothers. Always works. What is the message on the flag at the end of each of your videos? That means Russian ship, go fuck yourself. What is your favorite German dish for now? One thing I want to try is raw pork with Zwiebeln, with onion. Because I tried raw Rindfleisch, was good, but it was in Ukraine. Raw pork, that is another level of suicide. I want to try that as well. But what is my favorite one? I don't really know. In Ukraine, we have tushonka. Tushonka. How to translate it? It's a meat in the tin cans that we ate in the army, for example. It is extremely good. The one that I tried here is perfect. Like, because in the one in Ukraine, sometimes it contains like nipples, like genitals, horns, hooves, etc. The one that I tried here is extremely cool, clean, tasty meat. Yes, Jennifer pork nipples, and please don't make me cry. I don't want to remember this. Spam, yeah, that's the word, I think. Yeah, spiced ham. So I tried here. It was good. Pizza tastes better in Italy. I'm sorry. Currywurst, maybe. I think. You know what? I've tried this stuff. It's called roulade. It was really nice. And Angelica, if you're watching this, you are amazing. It was really, really nice. Meat plates. Yeah. I can literally survive on meat every single day. Meat and spaghetti. That's all I need to be happy. Did you ever try surströmming? Oh, yeah, I did. I really did. I believe last year. And my leather jacket still stinks. It was worth though. Do you like Spanish, Portuguese, and Greek food? To my shame, I don't know much about Spanish, Portuguese, and Greek food. Generally, guys, after the war is finished, I will literally make this new channel. Maybe I will just rename this channel because I don't want to lose your amazing community or my amazing community of friends. I will just rename it to like Eating with Starsky, and I will be going to different countries like Spain, Portugal, Greece, and I will be eating. And I'm not sure if you guys will even watch it, but this is something that I'm dreaming about. Maybe sometimes I will take like Georgie with me, or like Brandon. Roulade, yeah, it's fantastic if cooked properly. Guess what I do? I mix met, raw shredded pork, with raw eggs and tons of onions. I add some spice like paprika, pepper, and salt, and spread it on fresh bread or a bun. Broodchen. Usually, what I did, I would take rindfleisch. I would take it raw and grind it into like perfect paste like substance. Then I would mix it with raw egg, the yellow part of it, the yolk, garlic, onion, red pepper, black pepper, salt, and ketchup. And I would mix everything. And then I would take black bread and put it on the frying pan just for several seconds, like 10 seconds on each side. And then I would drop some butter on it. And I would take that meat and put that like thick layer of it on the bread. And then I would eat it. And it tastes heavenly with tomato juice, beer, red wine, or like kvass. It's amazing. But from what I've heard, the raw pork might be as good as that one. So I need to try. Raw meat from Aldi and Lidl. Penny also works. But not a deck. It's freaking expensive for no reason. What's the guys? My German friends, please explain what the hell. Like, why same stuff in a deca costs like 2 times more expensive than in Penny or Aldi? I don't understand. brave enough to eat fugu fish. Like, we're all brave. Like anybody can eat fugu fish, but sometimes just once. Has anyone else heard of that massive explosion in Russia? Yeah, and I made a video about it yesterday or today. Guys, have you seen the explosion? Holy smokes. Just a second, because you need to watch it. If you haven't seen it, oh my god. So there was like 30 tons of different ammunition. 30 tons. 30,000 tons, okay? And some people were saying that it's not really possible because 30 like kilotons of explosives would destroy the world. It's the explosion would be stronger than the one in Hiroshima, for example. But there is a small difference. The one that took place in Toropets is those 30,000 tons of ammunition. It doesn't mean that there was 30,000 tons of explosives, because like missile contains different parts, okay, and just so much explosives. So it was a different thing. But let's check this out, guys.
О, смотри, 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 идет сюда.
Holy shit. Guys, I've only seen that in the movies. Seriously. That's insane. 2.8. I believe it was 2.8. The magnitude. The seismographs recorded 2.8. But one really cool thing about it was that some of the North Korean missiles were also stockpiled there. Apfelstrudel mit Vanilleeis. Apple strudel with vanilla ice cream. I would love that. I was wondering, why so much vinegar in the potato salad? I'm wondering the same, actually. I don't know. It wasn't nuclear, my friend. It was just a big boom. But actually, it was, in my own opinion, probably the biggest boom we have ever seen since the beginning of the Russian invasion. Because 30,000 tons of stuff, that's crazy. There was Iskander. There were Iskander missiles, a lot of them. There were S-300 missiles, S-400 missiles. Those are nasty because Russians not only use them to intercept like aerial targets, but they also use them to strike land-based targets, and they're nasty. And also there were KN-23 Korean missiles. That's just some of the missiles mentioned. Actually, there was all kinds of stuff. Bobovnatko at her best, absolutely. I gotta make some kind of merch with Bavovnenko. And by the way, my friend Mirko Burtovi will help me to make merch that will not contain my face, because I don't like that stuff. But I want to create something that people who support Ukraine would like to generally wear, and be proud of that. This is something that we are working on these couple of days. How far was the storage away? The storage was in Tver Oblast. Tver Oblast. If we refer to the Google Maps, okay, here's Google Maps. So this is Ukraine. This is Mordor. And this is Voronezh, Saratov, Volgograd, Kursk, Tambov, Tula, Penza. Where the hell is Tver? Come on, zoom for me. Okay, let's just search for Toropets. There it is. I would not say it's like really close to Ukraine, because it's like northern. It's north of Belarus, basically. If we measure a distance, how do I measure a distance? Blah blah blah. Виміряти відстань. Okay, so for example, it's 536 kilometers from Chernihiv, or 333 miles, which is not bad. Again, I saw the infographics showing, the most distant strikes that involved Ukrainian drones. I was impressed, because in some cases the strikes were made at a distance of like 1,000 nautical miles, which is extremely big distance. Okay, fugu fish. Fugu fish is good. 560 kilometers is more realistic, something like that. It's closer than 560 kilometers, but you won't fly over Belarus. On the other hand, who cares much, Like Russian drones fly over Belarus all the time. But on the other hand, you might be right. All right, my dear friends, I will be finishing this stream. Thank you so much for watching it. And thank you so much for being as surprised to see all these crazy investigation details as myself. Guys, in the future, we will have some really cool guests. This Friday, I will be streaming with Richard from the Frontline Kids. We will be talking about drones. And recently, during our recent fundraiser, we managed to collect almost 200 blah blah thousand euro for those guys that will be creating drones massively. They hate us now because they have to make hundreds of them, but it's good at the same time. So if you like, you can prepare all kinds of crazy questions about drones. I will be asking a lot of crazy and nerdish questions about drones. Saturday, there will be another guest. I will announce this legendary, I would say, person later. And I will keep you updated about my personal, I don't know how to call it, personal life updates, I don't know, regarding that thing with the journalism. I will let you know as soon as I know something myself. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. It was really cool, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for supporting Ukraine. Thank you for supporting my channel. Big thanks to all the members. You are fantastic, guys. You help me run this channel, and it will be running regardless, but thank you so much for doing this. Thanks to all the moderators. Thanks to all the old friends that I keep seeing in the chat over and over again. And it's a huge, huge motivation for me. Guys, see you later and be safe. Bye-bye.